Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. I am your host, Trevor, and today we're going to be talking all about quantum, and more specifically, D-Wave Quantum, ticker symbol being QBTS. And I see a lot of investors online looking for golden opportunities in AI and technology, but I do believe that quantum is a sector that is often overlooked, especially with QBTS and all of quantum. We saw a big pop going into 2025. We saw a lot of these plays go from being worth just pennies all the way up to $20+. And so the sector that is quantum is very volatile. And when we just look at the technical analysis for QBTS and a lot of the quantum plays, we could see that we are in an overall bullish trend in this play. So I have these three levels of support and resistance drawn out, and this is just to show the bullish trend that QBTS has been on. And so right now, as I record this video, the stock is sitting at $6.24, and we are tapping right on that support line. So what I'm hoping for in QBTS is that we see a bit of a pop tomorrow to continue this trend. And if that does happen, we could see ourselves go a lot higher, as the trend indicates that right now, while we're sitting at $6.24, the middle line would be right in the $10 range, and then the top of the resistance was where D-Wave hit their all-time high, which was right around $12. And so just to reach that all-time high again would be a 100% return on investment, something that we have seen D-Wave do before. So right now we are also sitting at about the middle spot on the MACD, and then we are also at a good spot on the RSI. And so with D-Wave, if we do see a big pop tomorrow and going forward, we could see a lot of momentum going into this stock. And if you're not familiar with quantum and what quantum does, basically these quantum computers are just straight up supercomputers. So they are kind of like a classical computer times 10. They take a lot of the real world problems that classical computers could not solve, or it would take them forever to solve, and they take all that information and jumble it together and make an analysis in much more real time. And so with quantum computing, if you don't know, a big reason why we did have a drop earlier in the year is because the NVIDIA CEO Jensen came out and he said that quantum was going to take a lot longer than many investors were expecting. So he said that it would take about 15 years until we saw any real world use out of quantum. And we most recently had NVIDIA's first ever quantum day. This was earlier in March, and this is where they talked all about quantum computing. And Jensen came out with, again, kind of a bearish take. And because of that, quantum stocks did take more of a hit. And so in January, Jensen said that he thought quantum computing was a long way away and that it would take like 20 years before we saw any real world application behind quantum. He basically doubled down at NVIDIA's event, saying the same thing, but gave it a little bit better of a time horizon, saying 15 years instead of 20 years. But either way, still spooking investors into thinking that quantum computing isn't going to have any use in today's world. But this is just what Jensen is saying. For D-Wave Quantum, the reason why we are so bullish on D-Wave is that there is a lot of quantum computing stocks out there, but D-Wave specifically claims that they have reached quantum supremacy and that their technologies are already being used in the real world today. And so there's this interview that was recently done with the CEO of D-Wave Quantum, Alan, and this is what he had to say in response to what Jensen was saying.
We at D-Wave have taken a very different approach to quantum computing from everybody else in the industry. And as a result of that, we are actually able to support useful, important applications today. And I think the best example of that is the paper that we published in Science last week, where we have demonstrated that we can compute properties of magnetic materials that just cannot be computed classically. And this gives us the opportunity to create new materials discovery platforms, which will dramatically reduce the time and cost to create new materials.
And so we could see with what Alan is saying, he is very bullish on the quantum sector, and even more specifically on what they are doing at D-Wave Quantum. And it's not just Alan that believes in this, but there are a lot of big companies that are believing in D-Wave's technology as well. So in the last quarter of 2024, their earnings came out and they were very positive. And so to finish the year, they had an increase in bookings that were up 502% year over year. And also this company company does report that they have a cash position exceeding 300 million. So all this is pretty big news, but also not only have their bookings increased, but their projections for Q1 of 2025 were very positive as well. And so we could see here on the earnings history for D-Wave Quantum, they have never tapped above 2 million on their earnings, but for the first quarter of 2025, they are expecting $10 million per revenue, so a 5x on their revenue alone. And their next earnings is set to be on 5/12, so less than a month away. And with all the catalysts building behind QBTS, I think we're going to see a really positive Q1 earnings from D-Wave. And I do believe that this is because of the real-world application that D-Wave Quantum is already bringing. So D-Wave works with a lot of massive corporations. They work with a lot of the automotive industry and also other sectors as well. And so overall, the financials look positive to me. I also think it is positive that the CEO, Alan, did come out and have a statement regarding what was said at that GTC event. And again, he seems very bullish on quantum, and so am I. So I believe heavily in quantum over the coming years. And I think that this sector is just really starting to begin. Again, there's a lot of craze when it comes to technology and AI, but I don't see a lot of YouTubers talking about quantum, even though, again, we are on this bullish trend when it comes to quantum. A lot of the quantum stocks look like this, not just QBTS, but I have personally isolated it into QBTS because I do believe that it is the strongest quantum computing stock. So please drop a comment in the section below on what you think about quantum. If you're invested into QBTS or any other stocks, please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.